the Marketing Cloud implementation series. Before introducing myself, I would like to thank Josna, Shibu Ibrahim, Gilda, Sharath, Murali, and overall team. As you know, my name is Manjunath sir. I am working as a senior consultant in Deloitte. Today, I am going to present few stories that I implemented in my previous projects. So let's move on to the project stories. So the first topic that I am going to present, that's a trigger send status. And then I'm going to show the email sent based on time zone and the contact deletion. So let's move on to the first topic, the trigger send status. Basically, in trigger send status, what we are doing, right? Here I am going to show the how we can monitor the trigger send and also the journey builder send.
Manju, a quick interruption. Sorry about this. Can you do the presentation mode? Can you put it on the slideshow so the screen can be bigger?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. It's good.
So first, I'm going to present on the trigger send status. Basically, in trigger send status, we're going to monitor the trigger send, whether it is in the queue, error, or send. By doing this, we can get to know which trigger send or journey builder send emails are getting queued for the longer time. And if in case if there is any getting error, we can monitor there as well. Where exactly that we need it, if our data extensions or if our emails are completely written in a data driven, and that scenario, most of the emails are getting queued or sometime it is getting errored out. And also, and that situation, we can monitor our journeys or trigger send, specifically if it is a data driven email that I specified. So as I specified, we can monitor the journey builder send along with the general trigger send as well. In which are all the places that we can monitor. Even in general, by default, we have the option in a tracking, and also in the trigger send also we can see if the record is in queued, or if the record is total record sent, or if there is any recording queued. If needed, we can build a custom page where we can see the real time, and whenever we refresh that page, we can see the real time trigger send status, if the total email sent or total number of records in queued, or if there is any records are getting failed. And why basically why do we need this? If as I specified, right, if our email in most of the journeys, if our emails are pushing into the queue and it is not getting cleared up, if one of the email is pushed is end up within queue, and rest of the emails are also will be waiting till the first email get cleared out. And that scenario, right, sometime it may get stuck until we need to clear it. Earlier, we have to reach out to the support team to clear the queue, but now we have an option to clear it manually. Okay, and once till clearing the queue, the rest of the email won't be triggered. So in that scenario, right, if we are monitoring regularly, and that time we can go ahead and clear the queue if it is getting stuck more than an hour, or if in case if the email is getting failed, and that time we can monitor, we can see why this email is getting errored out. Okay, this is the one advantage that we can see if we are building the triggers and monitor via the custom pages. If in case if we don't need any custom page, you can also you can also write it data into the data extension and trigger an email on an hourly basis or a daily basis. It's based on our requirements. So how are we going to achieve this? So since this is an this basically this process to get the trigger sense details, we are going to utilize the WS proxy with the help of the API calls. So to do the API call, first step, we always need to install the package in our marketing cloud. And once we install the package, then we will get to know the client ID, client secret, and the web authentication URL. Using that, we can generate the token. And once we generate the token, right, based on our I mean our call, whether we are going to retrieve the trigger send or whether we are going to get the status of the trigger send, in the using the whichever the API call that we are doing. From that token, we are going to utilize that, and then we are retrieving the rest of the total sent or total record in the queue. Okay, and as we all know, the token will have the limit time. It's around 1000+ seconds. After that, it will getting expired. So within that time, this process needs to be monitored. In case if your account is having a huge amount of journeys, or if it is a huge amount of triggers, and on that time, I would recommend you to filter which trigger send that you want to monitor. Presently, I'm going to show how we can get the triggers and customer key. If we are not, I mean, if we are not monitoring on a specific trigger send, if we want to monitor all the triggers send, on that time, how we want to get the trigger send? Assume we went to the new or existing client, and that time it's too hard to pick all the triggers and external key, right? So to retrieve the triggers and external key, here is the WS proxy details. First step, we are going to initialize the WS proxy call object, and then we are specifying from which MID that we are going to impersonate. And then here I'm going to specify which column that I am going to retrieve. Presently, I'm showing only the customer key trigger send status. If it is needed, we can get the email subject as well, and also so on. Now, some other fields also there that we can able to retrieve it from this trigger send definition update. In the last line, we are going to call the retrieve function. In this function, what exactly it will do, right? It will call the trigger send definition with the, sorry. Just give me a second. Yeah. In the trigger send definition object, I am going to specify which are all the column that I am going to retrieve it from the trigger send definition. And also here I have given the filter, but I am not doing any filter here. Since there is an option, we can write like if in case if you want to monitor only the trigger send status which is inactive, and that time, right, we can have the condition, we can have the filter by specifying trigger send status is active. And that time only the active trigger send will be display, we will get only the active trigger send customer key. Okay, this is the step that we can use to retrieve the trigger send customer key for completely on the MID. This trigger send customer key means even journey builder is also a trigger send. I mean, journey builder email send is it will also create a trigger send definition. So we can get the journey builder trigger send customer key as well. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. How we can retrieve. Now we got to know how we can retrieve the customer key. So once we retrieve the customer key, right? Next step, presently I'm going to show how we are going to retrieve the total number of queued in the particular email or in overall trigger set. So first step, right? Again, here also we are doing the WS proxy. Again, I am initializing the proxy object, and then I am specifying from which ID that I am going to leverage it, call it, and then I am going to use the which are all the columns that I am going to retrieve from the particular object. So presently I am retrieving only the customer key along with QID. We have an option to retrieve the total number of sent, and there are few few columns are there that we can leverage, like sent, open, click, not sent, and some other information is also there. We can leverage it if in case if it is needed. And in this scenario, I have written the filter criteria, like only to retrieve the particular external key. If in case if you are leveraging both the WS proxy, then I would recommend to utilize using the loop. We can specify the external key for each time. So this external key, it will check. Again, in the last step, we are retrieving from the triggers and summary object. In the earlier, we did the we pulled the details from the triggers and definition object. Now we are pulling the details from the triggers and summary object. Since we are looking into the tracking details, so we are looking into the triggers and summary object. This triggers and summary object will we are able to pull all the details more faster than the marketing cloud tracking tab. If in case if you see some of the how many records in the queue, if you are running this triggers and some if you are running a call with this triggers and summary, right, you will get the complete details. More it will be on a real time basis. So here I am specifying which are all the columns that I am going to retrieve it. And again, I am leveraging the filter. I'm going to retrieve only on the specific external key. So if you guys have any question on this particular trigger and status before going to the tool, please feel free to type it in the question chat window. Okay, I would say there is no question. Okay, thanks. Let's move on to the tool, how exactly it will display. So I have already created the one cloud page that is going to retrieve the total number of triggers and that are available in this particular account, and also is there any record in queued or any details. Okay, if in case if you want to monitor only on the particular trigger send, on that time I would recommend to add it in the cloud page, sorry, in the data extension, and then use the only that external key instead of running the trigger send definition object. Okay, so presently in this is a new account, so we don't have we didn't created any details, so that's the reason we are seeing only the active trigger send and the new trigger sends, and if there is no inactive and cancelled, but there are two triggers and that we deleted. So we can see the customer key. See, basically, right, this is one. Usually by default, the customer key number will be generated only for the journey builder email sends. And if it is a actual trigger send definition, the customer key will be in an 18 digit. But if it is a journey builder send, it will be completely on a number specific. So if you want, I can go there in the trigger send tab, and I will show where exact how many trigger send presently it was there. Since there is no active or there is no trigger send, just one second. Trigger send name, there is a 2711 that is still in new state. So if I see this 2711, it is in new. Okay, it was a customer key. Actually, this and that was a modified. Okay, customer key by default it will always be in this format. And if you see the journey builder sense, presently there are two versions. Just a minute again. See, there is a one trigger send external key as a 661, I guess. 661 along with the another trigger send, sorry, journey builder send, that is a 670. You can see the same 661 and 670. If there is any queued here, we will get that information directly in that cloud page only. No need to come here and see what is the, I mean, is there any record in the queued or not. Here only will, here I'm seeing the total number of sent. If in case if you need, you can leverage the uh, total number of counts also. In place of, just 1 second, yes, in place of queued or after queued, if you want to add sent, then you can also see the total number of sent on that particular triggers and our particular journey as well. So any question on this?
I don't see any questions as of now, Manju.
Yeah.
You can carry on.
Okay, just thank you. So let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic will be the email send based on time zone. What is email send based on time zone and how exactly it will work? Usually, when we are targeting the different time zone users, on the time we always struggle to scheduling the exact time, right? So to overcome this issue, we implemented this story like to avoid to avoid creating with the multiple journeys are sometime, right? If you assume if we are targeting to the US people, and that time we always see there are a multiple time zone in US nation, and that time most of the time we may end up with a multiple decision split in the journey or multiple automations or multiple campaign journeys itself to target the different time zone people. To avoid that, first we planned like when we are scheduling the campaigns or journeys with to the different time zone, we always struggle, right? So to get around this feature will enable, I mean, will help us to send on a one single journey. We can specify the exact time on what time that we want to target it, irrespective of time zone. So what is the advantage of this? So we can go in a one single shot instead of with the multiple shots. Is there any limitation or any step that we need to be aware before implementing this use case? Definitely. Since we are seeing there is I mean, daylight saving in most of the time zones, right? And that time, right, we need to update we need to create one query that will update our one of the data extension only on the daylight saving time. Basically, that automation needs twice in an year. One is incrementing apply 1 hour, and another one is in decrementing 1 hour. Because since we are, I mean, whenever the daylight changes, we know, right, how many minutes or second got varied from the existing one and the new one. So that information we need to do that. So how exactly that we are going to implement it, right? This is the flow chart that we are going to implement it. First, we are going to, I mean, first we are going specifying the which are all the UTC time that we are leveraging. If in case, if we are leveraging only to the US subscribers, then we can create one data extension that will contain only the US time zone along with the differences between the UTC time and the particular time zone in a second. I would recommend to keep it in a second because that will be more specific than the minute. Okay, and the another D, that's a target D, or that's a source D, that will contain the exact time that when are we going to target them, and also this specific time zone in the source D. Okay, once we have these two D ready, using the query activity, we are going to update the target D within exact time on an UTC format. Assume if you are targeting on 8 p.m. EST, then it will be updated to the UTC time and it will be saved in the target D. And then if in the journey, first, before sending the email, we are going to use the wait by attribute function. In the wait by attribute function, we are going to select the time that we have updated from the query, and then we are selecting the UTC time. In place of time zone, we are selecting the UTC time. That's the London time. So, and then if we target email or SMS or push any other activity, if it is a direct mail, anything on that time, right, what exactly it will look into the UTC time that was updated from the query, and if that time occurs, that will get triggered, I mean that will get pushed into the next activity. So in use by doing this, we can send irrespective of time zone. We can target the subscriber on specific time. If you want to target it on 10 a.m., even for the EST, PST, and MST, we can do that in a single shot. Okay. So what is in which query? This is the query that we are going to use to update the UTC time. This is the this is the source field name on to n, and then there is an first I have specified the US and there is a US data extension, right, that contains the difference time between the UTC time and that particular time. So I have added in a second. So in this data extension, there is a field called UTC time difference and the time zone. So in the I'm going to use the data function in a second. First, I am picking the UTC time difference, and I am picking the expected schedule date. This was specified in our source data extension. When are we going to target? If in case if we are having a multiple email and that journey, and that time I would recommend to create in multiple fields and use the same logic, this logic to update the multiple field as well, to update the exact expected, to update the exact respective UTC time. We need to update the field name accordingly. So what exactly it will do, it will look into these two data extensions based on the time zone, and then using the data function, we are going to update the UTC time. Okay, so let's move on to the uh, tool. So before that, first I am going to show the UTC time. So in this UTC time, I have added almost all the nations. Difference between the, so if in case Afghanistan or Ireland, Iceland, so we know, right, what is the time zone for that nation. From that, if it is a plus, since we are going to update our time zone into the UTC. If it is plus, then we are minusing that in a we are adding this second field in a second difference. Like if it is a 430, right? We are exactly calculating for 4 means 1600 and 30 minutes. It's not 1600. Yeah. If it is a 430, then we are picking the 16,000. Sorry, 16,200 seconds. Since it is a plus, we are going to minus it, minus that amount of seconds. So on that time, it will be updated to the exactly UTC time. If it is minus, then we are plus. Then we are adding that difference of seconds. It will be coming into the UTC time. So this is for testing purpose. I have created a simple data extension. I picked this simple data extension that is only targeting for the US. In the US, we are having this different time zone, right? So I keep this time zone and I specified the UTC time along with, since these are all the minus, I have updated the time differences between the each time zone. So this is the targeted subscriber that I am going to use. So in this targeted record, I am utilizing the different time zone as well. So I'm utilizing the two CST time zone and rest of them are different. And I have specified when I'm going to target it. I'm going to target it on 12 p.m. tomorrow. So if I run the automation, on that time, this UTC time will get updated accordingly with that UTC time. So just give me a second. Once this automation completed, oh, is it completed now? We all know, right? Sometime automation may take 5 to 10 minutes to trigger the uh, automation. Please be with me. I click save, it is throw an error because since it is running in the background. In the meantime, I'm seeing few questions. Yep, it was started. Since I am having the less record, it won't take that much time. It will be completed in a few seconds. Once that is completed, this respective UTC time will get updated accordingly. And that is running. In the previous time, it doesn't take more than a minute, but now it is taking, please be with me. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to show in the journey builder configuration how exactly that we need to set up. So since I selected the targeted DE, that I utilize the same data extension, this target US subscriber. I have the respective field in here. In this first step, I mean, before sending any activity, first step we need to include that particular, sorry, mm, weight by attribute. In the weight by attribute, we are going to select the, I mean, since it is a static, I mean, the exact time that, I mean, entry D that we are picking, we are always leveraging the journey data. So I'm selected the respective UTC time. This field is getting updated from the query with an UTC time. And in the weight attribute, I'm going, we have to select this specific time zone only because we have updated our time into the UTC. So we are going to select the UTC time here and we are not going to extend it because since we are already updated our time in the data extension itself. So we are going to, we are not going to specify in this time. If in case, if our data is always, I mean, here I have specified the date, I mean, time also on what time that I need to target. If in case, if our data is not having the time, it will always show as at 12 a.m., right? And that situation, if you want to add the, I mean, if you want to specify the time only in this particular journey itself, and that situation, I mean, that's not the best way that I can specify, but still, if you want to do in that a manner, and that time, right, what I would say, I would recommend to create an wait by attribute and then use the wait attribute as well. So that's not the best way, but still, if you want to leverage or if you are in the short time, on that situation, we always uh, do the wait by attribute along with wait. So here we know, right? By default, it will pick it on the 12 a.m. So if you want to target it on the 8 a.m., then we need to give update here 8 hours. Just a minute, hours. What it will do, right? Whenever the journey qualify that time and date, it will pass into this place. It will be pushed. It will be moved from that way attribute function, and then it will wait for another 8 hours. Since we are targeting to the 8 a.m., and then it will move on to the next activity. That is an email activity here. So this is not the best way to keep the two wait activity one by one, but if we are running the a shorter time, then this is the way that we can leverage. Okay, and just give me a second if that
Manju,
automation
one more
completely.
thing.
Yes.
So can you also go over the SQL query?
Yeah, sure. Is there do you want to explain this just now?
Yeah, someone asked for the detailed overview of this one. Can you quickly go over this one? I know
Yep.
it's simple, but just maybe you
Yeah,
can
sure.
explain the data and how.
Sure. Okay. Basically, right, I mean, I have the data extension that I have specified the expected schedule date in our target D. In another D, I have the data with that's a UTC time difference. So I'm going to show that. So here in this D, I have the time zone along with the differences in seconds. So here I have the specified the time and the date and the time. So in the query, what exactly it will do, right? We are going to use the data add function, and since we are having the time differences in second, we are using the second, and we are utilizing this data add function will picking from the time zone D. That's here. If in case if it is a plus time zone, then the time differences will be the minus value. So on that time, the data add function will subtract the time from that. I mean, subtract the total number of seconds that we specified. This is an expected schedule date that we have specified in our target D. When are we going to target them? So using this, right, the UTC time will get generated in the data extension. So if I see that, sorry. See, since I am targeting 12 p.m. for EST, it was updated as a 5 p.m. because EST time zone it will be -5, so 5 hours is getting added to the UTC time. On that scenario, it will be completely into the UTC time. So same CST it will be 1 hour more than the EST. So 6 p.m. So again CST it will be 6 p.m. here as well. In the same way, this time will get updated. So if we are targeting 10 p.m. and in UTC, so sorry, if we are targeting for the 12 p.m., it will be updated as a 5 p.m. in the UTC time. Since it is a 5 p.m., if the UTC time becomes 5 p.m., on that time email get triggered. So if UTC time is 5 p.m., then the EST time is 12 p.m. So EST subscriber will receive the email on 12 p.m. In the same way, CST times people will receive on the UTC time 6 p.m. Okay. Any other question on this?
Everyone, please post your questions if you have anything to clarify on the two topics discussed before.
Yes, Kumar, I'm saying, can we take hours instead of seconds? Yes, we can. But as a best thing, if we are using the seconds, that will be more accurate and specific. Monica, are these attributes all set up in Marketing Cloud, or do this field need to also live in contact record in the CRM? So these are all the fields that we need to specify while creating in the data extension and the value as well.
So
Why? Yes.
for each record that we save in the data extension, we need to have these time zone values also created, right?
Yes, just not that.
Yeah, maybe you can show the data extension as well, where you're storing all these
Sure.
values.
So this is the data extension that we have created.
So in the data extension, we do have a specific field for the time zone where we are
Yes.
including the details.
Yes, in the another, this is the different time zone seconds. So here we, based on the time zone, we are updating the differences time second. Kunal, you are saying if it is an Indian time zone, since Indian time zone is a plus 5:30, we can minus the 1800 around 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes, how many seconds it will be? Around 2000. 100 or 2000, I have just a second. 18,000, no. It's around 21,000, I guess. Just a second. For Indian time zone, we need to minus. Sorry for that. Yeah, I mean, if in case if you are targeting to the multiple locales, and that time I would recommend to create a one master DE that will contain the time zone. Here I am not specified as a time zone, I specified the country code. If in case, I mean, how exactly that you need in a data extension field name, you can update that field name here. So for the India, it will be a 19,000 minus 19,800 seconds. In the same way, you can update irrespective of time zone and local.
So Manju, you have this data extension handy and you're referring to this data extension to create a sub DA, which you were using.
Yes, to create the target DE.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't have this master DE UST time, how can they
And
create
that,
this one?
this is this DE we need to create it. Or else we need to update. We need to using the case statement. We need to write a query here itself. And that time, right, it will be more complexity to write a multiple case statement. If using the case statement, we can specify if the time zone is EST, then we have to specify the, instead of at time UTC seconds, we have to specify it here. So if we don't have the master data system, then we can leverage it using the case statement, but that will be too hectic. So we always recommend to create a master data extension and update the. I don't say to update entire local or entire time zone. I would say, right, which are all the time zone that you guys are targeting. Update only those records with the differences. It's up to you whether you guys are updating in a differences in an hour or a minute or a second. So as a best practice or as a more accurate, I would say update it in a differences in seconds. Is that answer?
Yes, Manju. So this has to be something manual that needs to be done prior.
Yes.
So any other questions, please post them. And we are 45 minutes into the session, Manju. Maybe we can wrap this up and we can cover the next topic in the next session.
Sure, Jasma, we can leverage that.
So any other last questions, please post them.
On which parameter we can do this? I mean, I think you got answered. That's the reason it's specified.
So I think that is all. So we can wrap up this session, and thank you, Manju, for this interesting topic and the detailed explanation. And I thank everyone for joining today's session and for your continued interest and passion to learn and upskill. So we will continue these sessions. Please join the community team Phoenix Marketers group to get notified of all the new events that are going to be published. And I hope you're all in the Slack channel. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And this recording will be posted on the YouTube channel, Trailblazing Together.
Thank you, team. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.